The People's Constitution Coalition of Ohio introduces the Ohio Sovereignty Amendment, using the Constitution and rule of law to restrain government. Throughout the following presentation, you will read and hear many references to government, public office holders, and public servants. You will also discover that much of this amendment is directed at those particular entities. This may give the false impression that PCCOH is all about resistance to government, and this is simply not the case. Most people don't really think about our government in context of what it really is. To put it simply, our government is nothing more than a set of rules defining certain limited duties and responsibilities to be conducted on behalf of the whole community and people who have been assigned to those duties and responsibilities. The rules are set forth in our constitutions, and the people are our elected public servants. Our government consists of men and women who have accepted the duties and responsibilities of satisfying the proper needs of the people. So when we talk about government and public servants, we are referring to those men and women who work for the people of our society. PCCOH supports the fundamental principles upon which our system of government was defined and established. Though we like our system of government, we certainly do not like corruption in government. Corruption results in bad government, which is nothing more than men and women abusing or misusing or neglecting their duties and responsibilities to the people. In actuality, they are nothing more than bad employees. It is the duty of the people to ensure that their public servants do not misbehave. The purpose of this amendment is to make sure that they do not, and if they do, be held accountable. Who is the People's Constitution Coalition of Ohio, PCCOH? PCCOH began in April 2009 as a result of 6 people who came together for the purpose of rationally, intelligently, and optimistically identifying the root of the problems currently facing our country, and to determine if a viable plan could be formulated to resolve them. They understood that to succeed, the plan must be a peaceful solution based upon law and within the power and authority of the people to achieve. Though none of the 6 are lawyers, they are quite familiar with and proficient in the research, interpretation, and application of the law, for it is a topic of which all of them had spent significant time and effort to learn and understand. Upon their investigation, and as expected, they discovered that nearly all of the problems facing us are a direct result of government exercising powers not granted to it, or neglecting duties mandated to it by the people. In short, government is not adhering to our state and federal constitutions. To fix the problems, a solution needed to be devised to compel governmental compliance to the constitutions and to hold public office holders who violate the constitutions accountable. The next logical question is, how? Fortunately, our forefathers anticipated that government would one day require intervention by the people. Therefore, certain provisions were established in our constitutions and law that protect the people's power and authority to control their government. These 6 people have identified the core cause of our problems and devised a plan that can work to solve them. Now, it is time to enlist the people to put the plan into action. Elements of a complete solution. In devising a plan to resolve our problems with government, PCCOH identified 5 essential elements that must all be satisfied before our constitutional system of government of, by, and for the people can be secured and maintained. These essential elements are education. The people must regain their knowledge of the fundamental principles of law and good government and of a moral and religious society and commit to protecting them. Ejection. Bad public servants must be removed from office by the most expeditious, peaceable means possible and forbidden from returning to public office. Election. Men and women of honor and integrity and with a clear sense of duty to the people and our constitutions must be elected into public office. Enactment. Laws must be constructed and established in favor of the people and that provide the means for the people to hold their government accountable when they violate the principles of good government as established in our state and federal constitutions. And finally, enforcement. The people must have at their disposal an effective and efficient means for enforcing the constitutions against public servants who violate their public duty. Unfortunately, the American people generally have forgotten how our system of law and government is supposed to work. For decades, most people have relied on the same useless approach to controlling government taught to them by the rhetoric of our public schools. We as a people have forgotten how to think for ourselves. A well-known but frequently non-adhered quotation from Albert Einstein states, "Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results." We need to stop the insanity. This can only be accomplished by taking a clear look at the problem and devising new solutions. While most people have relied on the election process to cure our problems, our economy and freedoms have deteriorated. All of the effort expended on elections has resulted in a continuing decline of our society. Elections alone are not the solution. Something more is needed. This is why PCCOH has devised a new plan that goes beyond the normal course of action. The election process is important and must continue, but education and accountability must also be added to the ingredients of success. The Ohio Sovereignty Amendment is the next logical step in preserving our society under such principles that promote and protect liberty, individual rights, happiness, and prosperity. Yes, it is aggressive, but it is also desperately needed to solve our current problems with government. Our mission statement. The mission of the People's Constitution Coalition of Ohio is plain and simple: to restore and maintain our American Federalist system of government and hold government in compliance with and accountable to our state and federal constitutions. The object of our mission is to secure to the American people the purposes set forth in the wisdom of our forefathers, to provide a more perfect union of independent, sovereign nation-states, to establish justice by due process of law equally and fairly applied, to ensure domestic tranquility through perpetuation of peace among the states and foreign powers, to provide for our common defense from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, whether natural or social, to promote the general welfare by protecting the people's liberty, restraining trespassers, and defending the moral principles founded within our Christian heritage under our Creator God, and to secure the blessings of liberty and the people's rights to life, property, and the pursuit of happiness without undue restraint. Why the Ohio Sovereignty Amendment? Government is infringing upon our fundamental rights, those rights which have been bestowed upon all of us by our Creator. Government has usurped powers not granted to it by the people through our constitutions, and government is interpreting the Constitution to include things never intended by our founding fathers. The people hold the sovereign power over government, and a constitutional amendment is the proper procedure in this case. Elections alone have proven to be non-effective, and the Constitution is the solution for restraining government. How will the Ohio Sovereignty Amendment help? Our success will result in Ohioans securing and exercising their sovereignty over the state. Ohio government will secure and exercise its sovereignty over the federal government. And Ohio government will be held in compliance to the constitutions. Our fundamental rights and liberties will be protected from governmental interference. Public office holders will be held accountable to the constitutions, and the size and influence of government will be minimized. A few have questioned whether this is legal or not. Well, of course it is. It's clearly established in our Declaration of Independence, which states in pertinent part, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security." U.S. Supreme Court Justice Field stated in 1884 in the Butcher Union case, while he defined what self-evident means, and he said, "That is so plain that their truth is recognized upon their mere statement." It's further established in our constitutions. In the Ohio Constitution at Article 1, Section 2, it states that all political power is inherent in the people. Government is instituted for the people's, equal protection and benefit, and they, the people, have the right to alter, reform, and abolish the same whenever they may deem it necessary. The Ohio Constitution goes on to state that the first aforestated power reserved by the people, not granted to the people by government, this is a power that the people reserve to themselves, is designated the initiative to propose an amendment to the Constitution. In the federal Constitution, and under the 9th Amendment, it states that the enumeration in the Constitution, that is the federal Constitution, of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. And of course, the Ohio Sovereignty Amendment is in direct parallel to the 10th Amendment of the federal Constitution, which states that the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Our leaders recognize the power of the people to hold government accountable. One of my favorites is Thomas Jefferson, who stated that the two enemies of the people are criminals and government. So let's chain the second down with the chains of the Constitution, so the second will never become the legalized version of the first. Jefferson went on to propose the question that on every unauthoritative exercise of power by the legislature, must the people rise in rebellion or their silence be construed into a surrender of that power to them? If so, then how many rebellions should we have had already? Woodrow Wilson stated that the history of liberty is a history of resistance. The history of liberty is a history of limitations of governmental power, not the increase of it.